This is Reed Suitman with Decatur Vote, and the following interview is with Bill Clevenger after the June 21st Special Board of Education meeting at MacArthur High School.
Hi, can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
So I'm obviously interested in the transparency issue. I know you guys have your hands full, of course, with the building problems right now. But a minute ago, you kind of spoke to the effect that you don't think anything extra needs to be done for the transparency. Are you open to any suggestions like a accountability committee or opening an investigation into the history of this issue?
Yeah, I'd have to look at that because most of the people here who are in positions today weren't here before.
Mm-hmm.
They had no responsibility for the previous actions. They weren't employed here. So when we get into discussions of 5, 10 years ago, the folks that are here today had nothing to do with that. So a better thought would be to move forward with our staff now, give them the benefit of the doubt, let them do their job that they were hired to do and what they're expected to do, and then let's move forward and create a climate that the community has confidence in, and we can move forward in that environment a lot better than we can. Let's look in the windshield rather than the rearview mirror.
Are you open to forming an accountability committee of teachers and parents?
I'd have to look at it and understand exactly what might be proposed,
Okay.
and what their role might be, and how that role might materialize over a given number of years. I'm not a big one to create committees that aren't going to have continuity and aren't going to have a successful impact on an organization. So I would have to see the whole scope of what the idea entails before we would have that conversation.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you about an anonymous tip that I received. Last night after I published my article, I received an anonymous tip that...
Note from the editor's desk: I have had to cut this part of the recording because we cannot publish an unverified anonymous tip. I have sent a FOIA request to the district to get more information regarding the tip, and that information will be shared at a later time.
Any idea about that?
Okay. Would you be interested
I was not
in...
involved in that. I was not involved in that conversation with staff. That was staff-to-staff conversation.
Mhm.
And my responsibility right now is at the board level,
Mhm.
and those staff meetings with Dr. Clark and her staff. I'm not privy to this.
Okay. And I understand Dr. Clark is the spokesperson for the district. At the last meeting, I tried to interview Denise Swarthout, and she directed me to Dr. Clark. I was shut down by by Board Secretary Melissa Bradford, who told me to talk to Denise Swarthout. So I was kind of getting a runaround, and I've been having a hard time getting an interview with anybody who has background knowledge on this issue to get more information about kind of the underlying process and why it took so long to get the analysis scheduled.
The scheduling analysis, I think, was just an unfortunate sequence of events that took place where the contractor wasn't available for a given period of time, and then Kent Metzger, our director of buildings and grounds, wasn't available for another period of time. The contractor actually wanted to come in, or the engineer wanted to come in when really nobody was in the building so that they could have a more thorough look and not disrupt anything. And unfortunately, those time delays led us to where we are. Whether that's a problem, I understand that, but that's the reality of the construction industry, is getting engineers, architects in place to do the studies that you need to have done, and sometimes timing just doesn't work well. Could we have acted faster? Quite possibly. But the reality of it is we're where we are now, and we need to move on these projects. We need to make determinations that are in the best interest of our students, they're in the best interest of our faculty and staff, and they're in the best interest of the overall Decatur community. And then let's not forget the cost factor of those. How does that weigh into the future of those buildings? And there's always a cost-benefit analysis to go with these things as well. So I think when you think about this, it's a big puzzle, and we're putting the pieces together right now. So it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and all of our staff working together. But I think we're going to come out with a solution that works for the year, and then we'll start into that overall planning process that Dr. Clark talked about at the end of her presentation.
Can I have a minute with you?
Sure.
So
Can I go up to the top for a second?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
So I think that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay. And I think I have a pretty good understanding of that. My big concern really is the transparency. It sounds like the district is on top of the building issues, and that I have been unable to get access to the administration who has background knowledge on the issues to get my questions answered about the transparency, which has been a hot topic for a while, and I think 3 different board candidates ran on transparency as a major platform issue. And I don't see anything meaningful being done to address that so far.
Well, I've worked with the Open Meetings Act for 40 years. I think I know what the Open Meetings Act is all about, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that we comply with the Open Meetings Act and that we work with our community for the betterment of our school system. I just have a long-term history in the community, and you can look at my record over time and the things that have been accomplished over that time period, and I'm hoping to be able to provide that same kind of leadership here.
Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Okay,
Thank you,
good
Mr.
deal.
Clevenger.
Thanks. See you later.
See ya.